I'm Derek Crumb. Why is this called James Game Reviews? It's a secret. In my childhood, when it comes to platformers, one game I always enjoyed to play was Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, a 3D platformer that was released in 2002 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. It also had an HD Steam release in 2016, but I won't be reviewing that version. My version that I grew up with is the PlayStation 2 version. I find this game to be very fun and underrated. The game got positive reviews, but it never really expanded beyond that. It seemed to be successful enough for 2 sequels, and they even had Game Boy versions, which I've also played, but in my opinion, they aren't as good. They're not really bad or anything, but they take the nice gameplay style from the first game and change it up a little too much. If you've played Pac-Man World 3, then you probably know how much of a big change this felt like. A change of gameplay style isn't always bad though, but those looking for more of the first game would probably be disappointed. Ty was developed by Krome Studios. It seems the development studio wanted to bring in a new game character to rival the famous platforming mascots like Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, and Sonic the Hedgehog with its clever marketing.
There's a new hero out there, and he's not gonna let anyone stand in his way. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger.
But what is Krome Studios known for aside from this? Well, they were responsible for the Legend of Spyro games, Viva Pinata Party Animals, some Star Wars and Transformer games, and Jimmy Neutron Jet Fusion. I've never played any of those, and I don't plan on doing that, as of now. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger follows the collectathon formula of platformers. Yes, collectathons. Some people call them sandbox platformers, but I don't really know the proper definition for them. But it's like the Banjo-Kazooie games, or most of the 3D Mario games. I've been very fond of this style of gameplay, especially with the recent Super Mario Odyssey that I've been sinking my time into so much. I really enjoy the fun sense of exploration and freedom you have in these kinds of platforming games. All that aside, let's get this review started. With the introduction out of the way, it's time for me to review Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. The plot escalates rather quickly, as most of it is explained within the game's 3-minute opening cutscene. Our hero, Ty, who was adopted by a family of bilbies, is running in the forest playing hide-and-seek, until he accidentally falls into a pit. He finds the Bunyip Elder and learns about a battle that happened years ago. When Ty's parents fought Boss Cass, the game's villain, they had to defend the 5 mystic talismans. If Boss Cass gets the talismans, he'll be able to rule Australia, so he must be stopped at all costs. When Boss Cass opens a dreaming portal that sends Ty's parents away, with Ty's father's boomerang causing a large explosion, the 5 talismans are scattered. And now Boss Cass is currently looking for the talismans again, with Ty being the only hope. Accompanied by a bird named Mori, they must find a special kind of material called Thunder Eggs to power a machine that will locate the location of the talismans and bring his parents back from the dreaming. I don't really mind the game's plot, as I'm not someone who looks over the elements of plot heavily. But like I mentioned before, I feel the opening cutscene sets the plot up way too quickly, and it just feels rushed. It doesn't really advance beyond that. Let's move on to the gameplay. As I mentioned before, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is a collectathon platformer, where you get to explore open-world levels and take your own path. The levels in the game are nicely designed and very explorative. In this game, you'll be traveling across areas mainly based off of Australian environments, like billabongs, rainforests, and even the Great Barrier Reef itself. At the very beginning of every level, Mori will give you a great description of the destination you're heading to, giving you a better sense that you'll be enjoying the environment you are in solely for its nice elements, like you're actually experiencing it yourself.
Oh, smell that fresh rainforest there. See the cute wallabies. Surf the slippery water slide. Watch out for those weeds.
And I like that environmental sense they were going for. It's like taking a vacation to Australia, but it's a platforming game. So yeah, the level design in this game is great. Your main objective is to find all 8 Thunder Eggs scattered across the 10 worlds in the game. Now if you're thinking that these egg-shaped things are the Thunder Eggs, well, I'm afraid you're wrong. These are Thunder Eggs. Getting Thunder Eggs requires the skill of exploring the world and trying everything you can in your environment to get them. You control Ty himself, and his main weapon is his boomerang. While the game first starts off with him only having a single boomerang, completing the first level will get you a second one. Now of course, Ty is able to use his boomerangs to throw at enemies. It's his weapon. But he's also able to use his boomerang for different things as well. You can grab onto ledges, swim underwater to explore the ocean, and even slowly glide downward, which is really helpful for saving yourself from deaths. I think it's really satisfying to throw your boomerang at an enemy from far away as they fall down with a smack sound. Same goes for breaking boxes too. You break a box and all the collectibles go all over the place. At times where your boomerang isn't effective against enemies, you'll need to use Ty's bite ability. You can bite at the enemies with the simple press of a circle button, but unless it's necessary, it really isn't as useful as getting rid of the enemies with your two boomerangs. You can even bite in midair, which is really worthless because you'll miss 90% of the time and smash your head off the floor, which is a little humorous at first, but it just shows how unneeding biting in midair is, so I don't recommend using it, unless for the numerous times where you'll have to bite a path across these floating helicopter things to get to the next area. Ty can only take 3 hits before a death normally. In order to heal yourself, you have to find picnic baskets, which you get a piece of pie from. When you die, you'll jump out of a wooden outhouse somewhere in the level, and Ty will just jump out, ready to get going. Yeah, the game's checkpoints are outhouses. That's pretty unique.
So, you're saying that if I have an accident, I'll end up back at one of these?
Julius reckons it's got something to do with the space-time conundrum.
Now, you're gonna need Thunder Eggs if you want to access more levels in boss battles. If you can't find the needed Thunder Eggs, there's 3 other methods and levels to get them. You could complete a time attack challenge, which usually involves running through rings. Running through rings, how creative. Free the 5 caged bilbies in each world, or collect all of the 300 opals. Now, opals are a primary collectible in this game. You could find these all over the world, usually hidden in boxes. Collecting them in a row gives you a nice musical melody, which I find to be a nice satisfying touch in sound design. Getting 100 of these unlocks the ability for you to use a strong bite attack that you can charge up with the circle button, but as strong as it is, I never found myself using it. Most of the time I'd forget it even existed, so I suppose I wouldn't consider it very useful. Ty's friend Maury has various signs placed within the levels, with the triangle button painted onto them. When pressing the button, he'll always be there to give you advice within the game. As small as this element sounds, I actually find it to be very enjoyable and funny way to get tutorial and objective info. Since Ty and Maury are always chatting buddies, sometimes they say funny stuff, and it's nice to watch them chat about the current situation, rather than just be generically told what to do in other games. Since the worlds are probably very big for you the first time around, it's likely that you would get lost. But using the pause screen, you can get yourself a full map of the area, featuring question marks that hint towards where to look for Thunder Eggs. It is useful, but in a way, it kind of ruins the fun curiosity of exploring the levels yourself. Having to be told where to go exactly in an open world platformer isn't as fun as discovering it yourself. So if I were you, I wouldn't pay attention to the map unless I was desperate to find the places I haven't checked. Now here's one of the game's fun elements. Let's talk about what makes the boomerang combat fun. It's the elemental rings. Each world has a certain amount of yellow cogs that you can collect. If you find enough of these and bring it to Julius in the game's main hub, you can unlock boomerangs that grant you new abilities, such as being able to throw multiple boomerangs, freeze enemies into ice, and even cause large explosions on impact. They are essentially upgraded versions of your normal rangs, and whenever I'm playing a world, I'm always going to be on the hunt for those yellow cogs, so I could get new kinds of boomerangs to use. The best part is, you can cycle through all of them using the D-pad any time. This really keeps me on my toes when exploring the worlds. My sense of curiosity is going to be paid off when I get those yellow cogs, and then I get my elemental rangs, and I love how you could just switch between them with the D-pad. If you're looking to explore even more in the worlds, then the Infrarang is the rang for you. Switching to this will allow you to hear sounds that work as a radar for finding invisible platforms and concept art. Yes, when you look at first-person mode, you can find bits of concept art and platforms lying around the levels that you wouldn't see normally with the other boomerangs. It is very interesting to try to find all the concept art because there is a ton of it, and you could view all of your collected art you have in the main menu. I won't spoil any more of the kinds of boomerangs you'll get, but I'll just say that 3 of them aren't actually unlocked by collecting cogs, but simply by beating boss battles, and those 3 are needed in order to open new worlds in the hub. Speaking of hubs, the game's main hub is Rainbow Cliffs. It is large in size, but don't expect yourself to be doing much in here because this empty, spacious hub world really just serves as a large space between the portal entrances to the levels. The later levels are blocked off by situational placements of ice and fire that you could just get rid of using the rangs. You can collect these rainbow scales hidden around the hub, but there's only 25 of them and all it really does is expand your health. There's really nothing to collect at all and the areas just don't appeal to me. The only area that is actually important, if anything, is the place where Julius is, just so you could spend your collected cogs to get new ranks. For such an interesting design in the game's levels, it's kinda disappointing they didn't have anything interesting with the hub. But it's not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't play a large role in the game anyways. You'll be focusing more on the open world levels in the game. It's not as disappointing as it sounds. To be fair on this game's difficulty, there are missions that got me frustrated, but after many tries, I was able to beat them. These kinds of missions don't really affect my opinion on the game because it's just a small part of the great experience. My personal 3 favorite levels in the game are Shipwrecks, Bridge on the River Ty, and Walk in the Park. Something about the rainforest and Billabong nighttime levels is just really nice to me. And the environments feel comfortable to explore, with the water slide and Walk in the Park, and exploring the Great Barrier Reef and Shipwrecks. You have a whole world of big blue water to swim in. Speaking of which, Ty goes pretty fast in the water, but controlling him can be a bit of a pain sometimes depending on the mission or area. One level that I don't like playing though is Liar Liar Pants on Fire. This level really tests your thinking skills. Ty has to follow around a lying bird, who does nothing but tell lies, and you have to find your way through the rainforest while you hear a lying bird tell you exactly not what to do. Sometimes you just can't guess if he's lying or not. I never found this level to be that fun to explore as the others. It just kinda bores me. How's the game on a graphical standpoint? Well, it's good. Keep in mind this game came out in 2002. The CGI cutscenes look pretty good for their time though. Nothing's wrong with the graphics, and I don't think it's distractingly dated. The game has a great soundtrack. I find the game's menu theme to be very nostalgic, but that just could be bias, since this game is one of my childhood favorites. Walk in the Park is one of my favorite songs of the game, and Rex Marks the Spot definitely has a catchy song for a beach level. Overall, everything fits with the Australian environments well, and no doubt there is nothing wrong with it. Does Ty the Tasmanian Tiger have a cast of wonderful, funny, and memorable characters? I guess so. They all talk in that Australian accent, use words like mate, you old coot, whatever. And they tend to chat a lot about their lives, which gives it a bit of charm. Whoever you hate, you could just attack them with your boomerangs. One extra that this game has that I'd like to appreciate and mention is the making of. This plays a montage that simply shows footage of the crew at the studio planning and developing the game. We don't hear anyone talk about it though, it's just a simple montage with the game's music in the background, and it's actually pretty nice to sit through, because we really get to see that the people working on this game are really enjoying their time. I recommend watching it if you play the game. For some reason in the extras menu there's a movies option that doesn't become unfaded no matter how far you get in the game, so you can't watch all the cutscenes again unfortunately. Is there a bonus for completing the game 100%? Yes, and is it worth it? Sure, but that unlockable bonus brings in an issue with the game. The game never tells you that you even unlocked it in the first place or how to check it out. At sometimes the game can have unclear objectives or not enough exposition. And for the final boss, it literally gives you no exposition on what the heck you're supposed to do. Final boss battles tend to be climactic and hard, but in this game it's not climactic at all. It just feels rushed, and the difficulty of fighting the boss isn't due to how strong he is, but rather how the heck you're supposed to beat him, because you won't know. And issues like this happen in other worlds and bosses too. You're probably asking, if this game is pretty much 15 years old, why would I try to hide spoilers? Well, that's because you can get the HD version of this game on Steam, and if you liked games like Banjo-Kazooie, Yooka-Laylee, Mario Odyssey, A Hat in Time, you shouldn't miss out on this. I think with the HD remaster of this game, the game still holds up. In the end, I think Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is a great game, and those looking for an underrated gem should definitely try this one out. I doubt any of you looking to explore in a video game would be disappointed. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.